Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wednesday Meditation Gathering. I'm so glad you're all here to share this time together. This week we have Sandy Snelling, who will lead us in meditation, and then we have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we're going to open it up for sharing, and we end at 10:45. Over to you, Sandy.
Thanks, Dan. Morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be with you all this morning. So when I asked for guidance today, it was to focus on our holiness. I find that, I don't know about you, but when the course first started introducing that concept of holiness, my ego went into overdrive. It's, who do you think you are? You know, you're not holy, you're not the Dalai Lama, you're not the Pope. You're not a saint, you know, all those things were coming in. It was just nag, 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 trying to make me turn away from truth and put me down. So I wanted to look at that in more depth and understand what was going on. And gradually, as you work with the course, you begin to accept it. But I don't know about you, I always tend to forget about it when I go into the world. So I can understand this concept, and yes, I can understand I'm holy. And when I'm doing meditation or I'm doing other things, that's fine. But when I go into the big wide world, suddenly I forget my own holiness and everyone else's. Suddenly that's not there. So I thought, let's look at the dictionary's definition of holiness. And it says relating to or associated with God or a deity. Sacred, that which has had sanctity directly from God. So, and even the Old English is blessed. So when I think about all those definitions, that reads true as well. When that matches the course, you know, it's saying that God has sanctified our holiness. Yeah, okay, I can begin to accept that. So Lesson 156, I walk with God in perfect holiness, I thought would be a really beautiful example to use today to try and connect us more with our holiness, and hopefully as we practice it a bit more and more, that it help keep us actually with that holiness all the time when we go into the bigger world. It tells us God, He, is what your life is. Where you are, He is. Yet where He is, there must be holiness as well as life. No attribute of His remains unshared by everything that lives. What lives is as holy as Himself, because what shares His life is a part of His holiness, and could no more be sinful than the sun could be ice, the sea elect to be apart from water, and the grass grow with roots suspended in the air. So I think that's so beautiful. It's reminding us all the time within the course that we are holy. We are holy child of God because we are a part of God, which is that oneness that is. So, you know, it's you can't be apart from the ocean. If you're water, you are a part of it regardless of where you are. You can't separate yourself from it. So with this in mind, just for a moment before we start the meditation, I'd like us all just to take a moment to look at everybody on the screen and bless them in their holiness. So even if somebody's got their screen switched off, just acknowledge their name in your heart and say, I bless you in your holiness. And look at all these beautiful people here, all these beautiful faces. I bless you in your holiness. And I find when I do something like that, I well up. I feel really connected. I feel that oneness. I feel that beauty. And that's what I'd like us to feel in our meditation today. So just continue just for a moment or two, just blessing everyone in their holiness. All these beautiful faces. So with that in mind, I want us to move into the meditation with that in our hearts. And I'm going to just read a couple of the passages of that lesson 156, because it is like a beautiful love letter from God to us. And I just think it is a beautiful way to open our hearts to begin to accept our holiness. And once I've finished doing that, then we'll go into the 20 minutes silence, and then you'll hear my voice afterwards. So let's just get ourselves comfortable. And then just take a nice couple of Deep breaths just to bring you back into the present moment. And if you're comfortable, close your eyes. You cannot walk the world apart from God, because you could not be without him. He is what your life is. Where you are, he is. There is one life. That life you share with him. Nothing can be apart from him and live. Yet where he is, there must be holiness as well as life. No attribute of his remains unshared by everything that lives. What lives is holy as himself, because what shares his life is a part of holiness, and could no more be sinful than the sun could choose to be of ice, the sea elect to be apart from water, or the grass to grow with roots suspended in the air. There is a light in you which cannot die, whose presence is so holy that the world is sanctified because of you. All things that live bring gifts to you, and offer them in gratitude and gladness at your feet. The scent of flowers is their gift to you. The waves bow down before you, and the trees extend their arms to shield you from the heat, and lay their leaves before you on the ground that you may walk in softness, while the wind sinks to a whisper around your holy head. The light in you is what the universe longs to behold. All living things are still before you, for they recognize who walks with you. The light you carry is their own, and thus they see in you their holiness, saluting you as Saviour and as God. Accept their reverence, for it is due to holiness itself, which walks with you, transforming in its gentle light all things unto its likeness and its purity. Who walks with me? This question should be asked 1,000 times a day, till certainty has ended doubting and established peace. Today let doubting cease. God speaks for you in answering your questions with these words. I walk with God in perfect holiness. I light the world. I light my mind and all the minds which God created one with me. So just gently bring yourself back to the room. No rush, just gently allow yourself to soften your eyes. Perhaps you need move your body a little bit. Perhaps you need to stretch. Do whatever you think your body needs. And just see all those beautiful faces again. All that holiness shining at us from the screen.
We have 16 minutes left for sharing your reflections and your questions. And if you'd like to share, raise your hand, or you can use the electronic hand at the bottom of the screen. I'll invite you to take yourself off mute. Norman, would you like to share?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Sandy. What I got out of that was I can't attach conditions to holiness. My ego, which was disguised as my nice self, put up arguments about, well, now, for you to be able to work with other egos, you can't be 100% holy, or you wouldn't be here. So you have to have a little bit of an ego, and arguments like that. But then, in still quietness, just that awareness, I cannot attach conditions to holiness. I just have to accept it. So thank you very much.
It's beautiful, Norman, and it's so true. You know that the ego really tries hard, doesn't it, to get us to keep with it. You know, that was a really nice, crafty little one. It tried, didn't it? You've got to have a bit of ego to be able to work with other egos. You know, Jesus didn't have an ego and he managed to work with everyone, you know. So I think that's really beautiful that you had that come through. You know, yes, we can't attach anything to holiness. That's God's place. That's not ours. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. That's beautiful.
Who would like to share? Sue, take yourself off mute.
Hi, thank you. That was beautiful. When we did the Miracle Festival in Bad Meinberg last month, and we all got the opportunity to draw a piece of paper with a text from the course written on it. And mine was, I walk with God in perfect holiness. So I kept saying it over to myself during the festival. And when we got home, but there wasn't a reference on it, so I didn't know where in the course to look for it. And it didn't occur to me that it was the title of the lesson. So when we got home, I was looking through the lessons. Oh, that's it. That's my text. It's a lesson. And it's my turn to choose the piece that our local group reads this week. And that's the one I'm going to choose. So meditating on it today was really, really good for me. But the most thing that I got out of it, just before you went into the silence, you said, my holiness lights the world, my holiness lights my mind. That was almost the last of the bits that you read. And when we went into the silence, I'd done the blessing the holiness with everybody, but I thought I didn't do it as a group. So I imagined the Zoom screen with all the little squares and all the lovely faces, and did the blessing as a group. And it was like, suddenly there was a light behind my eyes that was shining onto everybody. It wasn't like I was looking into a light. It was almost like a light was looking through me. And that just really lit up the whole meditation for me, and I was able to stay with it. I generally find myself making my shopping list in the middle of the meditation. And it was just really, really beautiful. And I just wanted to say thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. You know, that's what we're all wanting, is to let that light shine through us into everything. And it's that connection, isn't it? We forget, you know, because we've got these bodies or in these little boxes, we're not separate at all. And when you can get something like that, and that opens up, I mean, that's a really big lesson for you. You keep getting the universe, God keeps hinting it at you.
Absolutely.
Keep with it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Who'd like to share?
It's John.
Ron, was that a hand I saw?
Hi, thank you. Yes, that was. Thank you very much, Sandy. That was lovely. And it's an interesting. I shared the same struggle that you shared about the word holiness when I first started the course. I thought, living the life I had led, there's no way I could be perfect holiness. You know, I had a real dampener on that. But I think the thing that helped me was when I started to see words differently. So instead of thinking of it as HOLI, I started to think of it WHOLE, my holiness, my wholeness, you know. And that made sense to me because all through my life, I always felt there was something missing. You know, I felt there was literally a hole in me, you know, and I'd fill that hole with, first of all, I'd fill it by leaving school, would fill that hole, would sort it then by getting married and having kids would fill that hole, and then by being successful and making money would fill that hole. And of course, it never did. It never did. And I think that was the biggest thing. And I think when I think back, the first time I ever literally felt a wholeness was after I'd done forgiveness of my parents. It had a remarkable effect on me. Not only did I forgive them both, I also made them equal, whereas I had separated them, you know, and made one good and the other bad. And that was a wholeness, and that was really a wonderful feeling. So that was like a stepping stone for me. And then eventually, the more I came to the course, the more I could focus on the real me, if you like. And I didn't know who I was until I came to the course. I had no idea who I was. And it was just by doing the work. And the repetition was what I realized helped a lot of these lessons. I can remember I was divorced at the time, and I volunteered for a treatment center in India, in Goa, and I'd walk up and down the beach all day saying, I am as God created me, and I am holy, and all of this stuff, you know. And that's when I first realized that I had to really rewire my brain. It's quite and it's interesting about the words, because I had a similar problem with the word atonement. I kept thinking of atonement was I was making up for something I'd done wrong, and then I changed it to at-one-ment. So that reminded me of what the real meaning of the word was. So yeah, the holiness is it's a really challenging one, I felt. So, but yeah, that really helped in meditation. I loved it. Thank you.
You're welcome, and thanks for sharing that. I mean, I think we all come into this world feeling that something's missing. We've got that big hole. So we can all relate to that. And, you know, that's the nice thing about the course, is it is gently repairing that mistake. You know, it's helping us to see it's not out there. It's only in here that we'll ever fill that hole, that we'll know that we're already whole anyway. We just haven't seen it. So we feel there's a bit missing. So thank you.
Jim, take yourself off mute.
Yes, thank you, Sandy. That was really beautiful. And I particularly enjoyed looking at the screen, all the different faces, and saying the words, I bless you in your perfect holiness, because it completely changed everybody in my view. I so often look at screens and think I know people. I know their characteristics and their habits. what they might, what they might be likely to say, and all these ideas about people that I have in my head. And of course, none of them are true at all. It's all an illusion. And by saying those words, I saw everybody freshly. I didn't know anybody. I looked at these faces and I didn't know anything about them. They were totally new and fresh in their holiness. And I'm going to try and remember to use that when I'm out and about as well, because it's so easy to fall into the trap of thinking I know all about somebody. How can I possibly know all about anybody? And yet the ego tries to suggest that I do. And to see people totally freshly like that, which is what you invited us to do, was wonderful. So thank you.
You're welcome. It is a beautiful exercise to do. When I do remember to do it, I find it is that everything else falls away. It's just the truth is just stands there, and it's also beautiful to do that for yourself in the mirror, because we're really good at it's easier to do it for other people than it is to do it for ourselves. So perhaps I challenge you all to perhaps be in the mirror and say, I bless you in your holiness, and just allow that to filter in, no matter how uncomfortable it might feel at first to actually practice that. But perhaps give it a go as well, because we, like everything, we can forgive people easier than we can forgive ourselves. Everything we can do with other people far more easily. We're always most harsh with ourselves. So yeah, it's a beautiful practice. So yeah, use it. It's lovely. Thanks, Jim.
Who'd like to share? Dennis, take yourself off mute.
One of our group members, a couple of Christmases ago, bought us a mug. I don't know where you can see it.
It says Holy Child of God. Beautiful, lovely. So you must have known today that we were going to do holiness. Lovely. I love it when you get little synchronicities like that. That's just, God's just reminding you really need to keep an eye on this. This thing is something you need to keep note of. And
Well, I don't put it in the dishwasher in case it washes off, so I
yeah.
just wash it up normal.
Oh,
Keep it
lovely. Good, so it can keep reminding you. Thanks, Dennis.
Who'd like to share?
The other thing I like about this lesson is it reminds me that we don't walk alone. So often when we're doing stuff, we think we're alone and we're doing things of our own strength. And this lesson not only reminds us that we're holy, it's also reminding us that we don't walk alone, that we can never be apart from God. We are always connected, and that we're connected with one another. So it's a beautiful lesson on lots of different levels.
I'll jump in here. Sandy, I love this lesson. It's one of my top favorites, and it's so valuable to remember that I'm never alone. I always have God with me, and I get caught up in the world, and I have so many things to do. I'm so busy. I've got my to-do lists, and I'm just lost. And then I remind myself just to step back, quiet my mind, and reset in spirit, and that brings me back to my right mind. And so it's wonderful that that God is there when I tune into God. But I have to leave the world.
Yes, we need to tune back in, don't we, and let everything else tune out a bit. We forget with all the noise of the world and all the noise of our mind.
Yeah.
So it's good, wonderful.
Who'd like to share? Evelyn, take yourself off mute.
Thank you, Dan. I just simply wanted to say how much I appreciate these groups that Teresa and Dan and the Miracle Network host. It's just a real lifeline for me. So thank you, Sandy. Perfect, beautiful as always. Lovely, lovely, lovely offering, and just so much needed personally, and I know in the world. So bless you all. It's just so lovely. I love that exercise you did, Sandy, with going round in the beginning. It's so gorgeous. So bless you. And you just, I can't put into words what it means to be with you all and really feel the love of God. So thank you. It means everything to me. Thank you all. Thank you, Miracle Network.
Thanks, Evelyn. It is. It's so important that we can connect like this, because it's food for us, isn't it? It's food for our soul. It helps us to be able to then go out into the wider world and keep with it and keep practicing it and keep acknowledging the truth of who we are. So thank you, Evelyn. That's lovely.
So I'm going to take that thought that you gave us with me throughout the day. Just when I see people, I'll just say quiet in my mind. I'll just say, "I bless you in your holiness," and just extend love to them. It's wonderful. Thank you.
Yes, it's lovely. You can do it everywhere. I do it in the pool sometimes. I'm swimming along, blessing everybody in their holiness. It's great. It becomes a lovely. It's not a game, but it's just a beautiful thing that you do when you go out, and it becomes fun and lightens everything. It's because everything else drops away, all the stories fall away. So it's good. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. We've come to the end of our time. Thank you, Sandy. That was gorgeous. And take yourself off mute. Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you, Sandy. It was beautiful.
Thank you,
Sandy.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Beautiful.
Thank you,
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Sandy.
Take care. Lots of love.